Okay, everyone, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Somehow it got to be August. It seems like just a minute ago it was April, but here we are, it's August. This is our Red Talk series. So just a couple of housekeeping things. This is a webinar platform, so the only way that the audience can participate is to chat in their questions, and we will look at them and ask Andrea and have her answer those as it fits in throughout the session. So just a little bit about the Red Talk series. We started Red Talks in February as part of the Big Turn Music Festival. And we collaborated with Sam on what we thought would be a nice additional feature where we could have kind of an educational or informational session that went along with the musical component of that amazing weekend. So we had two panels here on a Saturday afternoon, and they were kind of arts focused from the regional area, from Red Wing, Rochester, and Winona, focusing on arts and entertainment. And they were a really interesting, eclectic group of professionals who shared their kind of ideas and experiences in the arts and music scene in those communities. And then we took a couple months off and we talked about it off and on about whether or not that was something we thought we should explore, and we decided it was. We liked the idea of having a Red Talk on a regular basis, and so we kicked off this current version of the series in May with our previous executive director and current board member, Adam Gettings. So he told his entrepreneurial story in May. And then we had Emily Knudsen from the pizza farm in Waseca, Pleasant Grove Pizza Farm, for June. And then in July, we had Andrew from the bike shop here in Red Wing. And then today and in August, we're really excited to welcome Andrea. And we'll talk a little bit about some upcoming speakers at the end of the session. We are recording, and this will be posted to our YouTube channel in the coming days. So you'll be able to go back and watch it again and share it with friends. And we'll be able to post it on some of our other social network platforms as well. So the Red Talk series is really focused on Red Wing or a link to Red Wing with a possible connection to Red Wing Ignite. And it stands for Reinvention, Entrepreneurship, and Determination, talking about that entrepreneurial journey that so many people in our community go through and are currently on. And so we're just seeking to tell people stories and how people share their journey. And we can ask them questions about how they've gotten where they are. We want to know what's been good, what's been bad, what's been hard, what's been easy, you know, what they're excited about and what the future holds for them, and just celebrate all the amazing entrepreneurial work that happens in this community. So with that, I'd like to introduce Andrea and welcome her to this series today. She's going to share some of her story with us, and we're going to have an opportunity to ask her some questions. Stacey, did you want to add anything before Andrea gets started?
I just wanted to welcome again everybody who has joined us. I know a couple more of you have joined us since we started, and we're really excited to talk to Andrea today and to hear about her journey. And so welcome everyone, and you'll have opportunities throughout to chat in any questions. As questions bubble up to the surface, feel free to chat them in, and then we will ask them when we have a little break and opportunity to be able to focus on those any questions and answers.
All right.
Thank you so much, Andrea, for being here.
Okay, so I'm just going to preface this with I am going to be doing this call similar to my entrepreneurial journey, which is winging it and figuring it out as I go. I have an outline in my head of what I want to share, but definitely, like I said, chat in some questions. I do really want this to be a conversation because I truly feel like anyone can be an entrepreneur, and kind of the theme of my talk is, you know, I really want to encourage you guys to be able to say plot twist at any point in your life, and many, many times throughout your life. We don't have to be doing the same job every single day from the time we get done with college until we retire. Like, it can be a plethora of things. And so I just want to start by sharing that I feel like my entrepreneurial journey actually started when I was in high school. I graduated from Red Wing High School in 2000. But while I was in high school, all of my jobs were or most of my jobs were in small retail. So I worked at Makushla's Irish Shop, which was in the Riverfront Center, for those of you who would remember that. I also worked at Main Street Toys, which was in the Riverfront Center. And then I shifted over to Twigs. None of these stores exist anymore, but I ended up actually managing Twigs before it ended up closing down. So I've worked in small retail. My heart is in small retail. Even when I was in high school and I, just had a high school job, I was asking for more opportunities to, learn behind the scenes stuff. Is there anything that you want me to do manager wise? Like, what can I do for you while I'm sitting here and, there happens to be nobody in the store? Give me more opportunities to get my fingers into this. I was always curious about it. And I had back then always dreamed about owning a store, because I saw, okay, so I'm here, I'm getting paid hourly, but there's definitely a lot more money flowing through this than just what's coming to me as a high school kid getting a paycheck. Like I was really interested in that whole piece of it. But I decided in my heart of hearts that I really just wanted to help people. And that's why I decided to go into teaching. So I went to undergrad. I became a high school math teacher, and I taught high school math for, I'm going to say 11 years. I actually taught for 12, but at 11 years is when this all started to shift in my life. So right before my last year of teaching, my 12th year, that summer, this all began because I wanted to get in shape. I had had my daughter 5 years earlier, and I just wasn't feeling good about myself. I was actually really sluggish and tired, and my clothes weren't fitting right. So I started doing at-home workouts and fell in love with them, and then realized that I could actually build a business helping other people get set up with these at-home workouts and nutrition plans and all of that. And 6 months into building that business, my husband sat me down and he's like, I have this nudge to tell you that I feel like you should step away from teaching and just really dive into this business that you're building. I was not matching my teaching income with this business. I wasn't even close, but I was feeling the same nudge. I was just too scared to say it. But luckily he was brave enough to say that, which is really shocking. If you know my husband, he's very conservative. But we both knew this was what I was meant to do. So I took a leave of absence from the classroom. I finished out that year. And then that summer, I began my entrepreneurial journey because I was only having that one business of helping people with their health and their fitness and motivating them and encouraging them and hosting accountability groups. And I still do that today. 5 years in, I'm still running that business, and it still continues to grow over time. But that year, I just did that coaching job. And then I got another nudge where I had to yell plot twist. So I don't even honestly, all of these things, except for the coaching one, I definitely know how it all played out. But the other two businesses that I've started since then, it's kind of blurry on what actually started the momentum into that new direction. But it was about a year into being away from the classroom. I really fell in love with this boutique that was based in Texas. And I was buying all their clothes and referring a bunch of people to her business. And I really exploded her business because she had an amazing referral program where if I referred people to buy stuff, then I would get free stuff. And I'm all about getting free stuff. So she reached out to me after her business kind of exploded. And she's like, I've been thinking about like figuring out a way to expand this boutique and having other people run their own boutique. Similar to a franchise, but not really. We're more just business partners. And she helped me get all set up, taught me how to create a website, how to order stuff, all of those things, and helped me start Filio. So her name is Stacy. She's amazing. She actually lives in Byron now. She's moved a couple of times, but she's close to me and we're really good friends. So I started actually at home in my basement here, and I transformed an office down here into my filio style room, and I ordered clothing and I did everything, I shipped everything out, and mostly one, Tessa, she owns River Blue Salon in town. She allowed me to set up racks of clothing in her salon a couple of Saturdays just to kind of get the word out. But I was mainly running my business from my basement through my website and shipping everything out. And if that wasn't enough to give my husband some gray hairs that I had started a second business, I got another nudge when a spot opened up downtown to actually have a brick and mortar. So this is the point where I really feel like I was having this full circle moment, because back when I was 16 years old, working in downtown Red Wing, dreaming of one day owning a store, now I'm going to be possibly stepping onto 3rd Street and opening my own boutique. After a lot of conversations, we decided to take the leap, and it has been amazing. We have a strong local following, but I also was able to keep the online following, which are people that are not local, to continue ordering online. We still have our online website. We still ship from the store, but we just been so incredibly blessed with the way that Red Wing has received my boutique in downtown Red Wing. So if that wasn't enough to stress my husband out, we held plot twist again. And we both started by reading a book on being landlords and having rental properties. And, you know, let me back up a little bit. So my husband, super duper supportive of all of these things. But in the beginning, all of my new ideas are a little bit scary. But he said, because I saw how successful you could be with your coaching business, he's like, I knew you had it in you to start a boutique. So he's like, that's why we invested in getting the inventory and getting this started. And once that he saw was successful, he was still scared about the whole brick and mortar thing, because that's a lot more inventory to have on hand. But he's like, I knew deep down that you could do this. And so when we opened up and had this conversation about being landlords, he's like, looking back, if you would have told me 5 years ago when you were still teaching high school and you had your regular paycheck, we knew exactly how much it was going to be every single week. And if you would have told me that we would be doing this third thing, which is buying a downtown building in Red Wing, and renovating the entire second level, he's like, I would have laughed in your face. But because you took that leap into opening your online business with helping people with their health and fitness, and then opening the brick and mortar, those stepping stones were the only way that we could have took this leap to buy an entire huge brownstone brick and mortar building in downtown, and then completely gutted the second level and create 4 apartments up above Josephson's. None of those, they all had to happen, so much to the point that I don't think this is the end. I think there's probably going to be another plot twist in there. I don't know what it is, because I couldn't see any of these coming. But I've gotten to the point where I'm completely open to just letting it happen as it comes, and knowing that I won't know all the answers. So that's kind of the thing that I want to end this kind of chunk on, because I would like to take some questions and kind of steer the conversation however you guys want it to. But I really did not know what I was doing in any of my business adventures. In fact, the one that we're currently in with renovating the second level above Josephson's clothing store, I still don't know. Like, we're at the process where we're almost going to sheetrock, and pretty much every day I have to ask very baseline questions when it comes to renovating and project management and all the things. Like, I am the general contractor, and I am a math teacher by trade. So the biggest thing that I tell people whenever they're like, how are you doing this? I'm like, I'm okay with not knowing the answers and figuring it out as I go and getting really good people alongside me to help me get those answers, to teach me so that I can know the next time if we ever buy another building and do this, I'm going to have so much more knowledge. It's, you know, like when I was getting bids for the project, there were 95% of the people who came through were just as excited about seeing the potential in the building as I was. But there were other people who I got a vibe from them that they didn't really think I could do this. That, well, you're a girl. Do you really know what you're doing? Like, this is a really big project, they would say. And they were looking around like, just doubting me. And in my head, I had already been like, I'm not going to be picking you, even if you're the lowest bid that comes in. Like, you're not someone I want on my team. It's about gathering good people to help you, because you are never going to know everything. You can't get to that point where you're like, well, I'll leap once I know how to do that. It's really not possible. Because if you do, you're probably going to miss your opportunity. You have to go into it not knowing all the answers and being okay with not knowing all the answers and learning as you go. So that's my little quick, I don't know if you call it an intro, but that would be my...
That's exciting. Yeah, that's really exciting, Andrea. So we do have a question about, I have several questions, but we do have a question about the Josephson's building in particular and how you got connected to that building. If you want to talk just a little bit about that history, like there's a lot of buildings downtown and a number of them are for sale. So how did that connection come about?
So I'm a firm believer in just knowing in your gut when something is meant to be. And that building actually wasn't ever for sale. We had a nudge to buy a downtown building, to become landlords, to own rental property, but we didn't know where that was going to be. So we prayed about it. We talked about it. We went through downtown. We looked at all the opportunities and locations, and we just kept getting drawn to that building. So we reached out to the owners who, it was 3 kids, the Josephson kids owned it before. They inherited it from their parents, and one of them lives in town and 2 others live on opposite ends of the country. And we just started having conversations with them like, hey, we're interested in really like revitalizing your building. We would love an opportunity just to talk to you about possibly you guys selling it to us. And we had a lot of conversations, and they felt strongly about keeping the legacy of the building because of their parents having the actual Josephson clothing store in there before they sold it to Tom Withers, who is still running the store. And we love him dearly and love that he's continuing to stay there. But we just reached out. We feel like this is the building that we're called to. So
that's really interesting, and it's obviously very exciting. So tell us, I mean, obviously that project is ginormous. We don't need to tell you that. Tell us a little bit about that project. Like, was it just one big open space, and some of the things that you've gone through and continue to go through as you get that ready for occupancy?
Really good question. If you want to actually see it, I have documented the whole process over on Instagram. You can look up CMA Properties, all one word, in the little highlight reels, kind of above where the square pictures are. If you click on those, there's the before, the demo, and now putting it back together. And I've saved a bunch of video clips touring the building, so you can definitely take a look at that. But just to give you a quick description of it, it was vacant for 100 years or more. There was lath and plaster everywhere. A lot of supplies and things from Josephson's were stored up there. But there used to be like a sign shop. There was a lawyer office up there 100 years ago. There was never indoor plumbing up there, so I'm not really sure what they did at the time. It looked like some of them were apartments, but we're not totally sure of that. We just know that it sat empty for 100 years, and it's actually all open above Josephson's, Staghead, and Bev's. So that all used to be from Bev's all the way to Josephson's used to be one owner and one building and one business. And then there were like apartments and offices on the second level. So it's all wide open. We're actually blocking it off near our property line up there just for safety reasons and putting a door at the end of the hallway. But it's beautiful. The trim is like this high on the baseboards. It's 12-foot ceilings, which we're keeping that same height. The windows are 8.5 feet tall. It's beautiful, totally beautiful. So we gutted it, lath and plaster gone, took 5 weeks to shovel that out the window, filled 3 enormous dumpsters, and we just got it insulated. All the wires are in, the plumbing's in, and we're gonna sheetrock next week.
That is exciting. When do you expect there to be occupancy? What's your kind of target completion date?
Goal is this fall, so sometime in November we're hoping to be ready for that, but we'll
And
see.
will the 4 apartments be identical in style, material, square footage?
Identical material and style, but different layouts in all of them, and all of them are around 600 square feet.
Okay.
1 bedroom.
1 bedroom. Okay. Really, really exciting. And do you see the ability, or have you gotten a sense of enthusiasm or interest when you talk about those additional buildings next door to yours that are the same way? I mean, do you see that as a possibility down the road where that it could be continued and there would be 3 sections of it?
Yeah, the current owners haven't said that they're planning to invest in their upper spaces right now, but maybe, I don't know.
Are you able to give any idea of the investment that it will take overall? It's fine if you don't want to share that, but just if someone had some idea or a range that you'd be willing to share?
Yeah, so we also had to, I'll tell you, but I'm going to preface this with, we had to dig up the street. I don't know if anybody saw that downtown when everything was shut down. That was my fault. That was me. So we had to dig through bedrock like 25 feet down. We had to put in new water, new sewer lines because they were original to the building. The water lines coming into Josephson's and Staghead and Bev's were only 3/4 inch, which is not enough. The sewer lines were not big enough. So we had to completely redo that. And the city of Red Wing is really, really wanting downtown living. So they actually paid for that part of it. So if you guys are interested in buying a downtown building, like, talk to, first of all, Megan would be a great resource with downtown Main Street, but the HRA with Randall over there, he helped us out. The Port Authority, like the city of Red Wing, and all of the people that love downtown and businesses, talk to those people because they absolutely will help you find ways to make it happen. Had the city not stepped up and paid for that, it would have been a deal breaker. We couldn't have afforded doing it. Like,
Yeah.
it is so close with how much it's costing to whether we're actually going to be making money or not. So knowing that we had to tear up the street almost made us walk away from it. But
and did you know it in the beginning? Did you know right away when you started to investigate the project that that would have to happen?
We did not know that until a few months in, when we were really digging into it and getting it inspected and all of that. So we really didn't know that the utilities hadn't been ever updated to that building.
And will that, and then we'll get back to the money, will that make a difference for the other businesses that are there? Did that change the quality of their life and their business?
Yes, it absolutely did. So that was part of the reason that the city was excited about paying for it, is because it actually upgraded Staghead and Bev's to have new water lines and new sewer lines as well. So, and they were, I had heard that some of them were getting backed up from time to time. So now that won't happen. So it improved the 2 restaurants next door as well. So it was kind of a 3-for-1. Let's dig up the street and do it right for everybody. All in all, I mean, the numbers change almost daily when I come home.
Yes.
I'm like, well, we uncovered this today.
Change orders, change orders.
Pretty much, yeah. We had a sunken floor. We had to get I-beams in and hydraulically lift Josephson's up because the whole side by the alley, like we've run into a lot of things. Best guess right now with purchasing the building and all of the renovations and everything, I would say 800,000, but the city paid for a good chunk. Randall helped pay for a good chunk. Like that is not all us. That is a lot of other people investing, us getting grants. Like we got help to tuck point the side of it with a small cities grant. Like that is, please don't think that that's all on us. We could have not, that wasn't in the equation. If we would have had to do all of that, we would have been upside down in our bills.
What an amazing example of what public-private partnership looks like.
Mm-hmm. We are so incredibly grateful. I mean, Randall was amazing right in the beginning, helping us walk through. So 2 of our apartments, just to give you some background on potential grants, we worked with Randall with the HRA, and 2 of our apartments are going to be rented to people making 60% median income, which works out to be about people that make $39,000 or less. So those 2 apartments have to go to people making that amount or less, and their rent is also 30% of that. So it's about 850 is going to be 2 of our apartments, the back 2. And that changes every year with the state salary median. So that for 15 years, we agreed to have 2 of our apartments rented at that rate. And then he was able to give us a large chunk of money for that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I want to know what keeps you up at night. As a small business owner, what is it? Is it different every night? Is it different with the different kinds of businesses you've had? Obviously, construction is a whole different animal, but kind of in general, as a small business owner, what is it that keeps you up at night?
Right now, it's definitely the building project, and change orders and unexpected costs of things. That definitely keeps me up. But, you know, during COVID, my boutique, it was questionable. I'm so thankful that I have a website and I was able to put on live sales in my Facebook group and showcase some new things that I was ordering and have people order online. That was honestly how I was able to pay my rent. And I have the most amazing employees that stuck it out with me and are back and working for me. So right now, the only thing that consumes me at nighttime is the building project and all of the unknowns.
Obviously, the impact of COVID on your business or businesses was one of my questions. So I think you answered that pretty well. You were able to pivot, do a lot of online work, and you found that there was still tremendous support from your customer base.
Yes, for sure. Definitely wasn't making what I would have had I been open, but it was enough to at least not go negatives. You know, like I keep telling everybody that I don't think Red Wing could survive another shutdown. So I'm just praying that we can all just stay safe and stay open. It breaks my heart to be on Bush Street and see all of the restaurants around me closing and empty storefronts. And I just love downtown. I've always loved downtown, and we just need to keep it thriving, and we need to be supporting our local businesses for sure.
So Andrea, I have a couple questions that sort of bubbled up as you were talking, because I'm hearing themes of nudges and plot twists and facing the unknown, but choosing to move forward anyway. And I think there are so many of us that just kind of, we fly through life rather with our ears and our eyes closed, because we're so consumed with what it is that's facing us in the moment that it's hard to sometimes pay attention to some of those things that unless we're looking for them or listening for them, we may very well miss those opportunities. And so I'm wondering what kinds of encouragement you would give to anyone, whether they're thinking of venturing out with a new idea, facing maybe some potential fears of failure or the unknown, and that phrase that I have always held to, feel the fear and do it anyway, and just choosing to go ahead and move forward even though it feels really uncomfortable at the time. I'm wondering if you could just talk a little bit about that, and what kind of encouragement would you give to people who are on the call that may be looking at the unknown and potential fears?
For sure. So let me back up to kind of where this all started for me. So when I was growing up, I made fun of people that worked out. I flaunted the fact that I was unhealthy and I liked being lazy, and like that was the persona that I had built for myself. And then all of a sudden I have this nudge to build a business around encouraging people to work out. So I really felt like the most unlikely of characters to be feeling this nudge. I felt very inadequate and I was scared of what people would think of me. But it was just this knowing inside, and I decided to go for it. And I think just that first time of doing something scary and doing something brave is the only way to build confidence. I totally know what it's like to be sitting in that fear and not knowing why you're feeling this nudge or how it's going to happen or what even the next step is. But I just encourage everybody. I think honestly, if everyone's really, really honest with themselves, they know that there's something tugging at them. I loved my job as a high school math teacher. Like I had no complaints. I was going to be a lifer there. I was going to retire. I'd probably work beyond retirement. Like I loved being a high school math teacher. So when I was feeling this nudge of like this unsettled, like there's something more, there's something different, it was confusing at first because I'm like, I'm happy here. Like, why am I feeling this pull towards something else that I don't know anything about? Like, I don't know how to run an online business. I don't know any of that stuff. But leaning into it, sitting with it, not ignoring it, not shuffling it under the rug, I think is really important, because I think too many of us shuffle it under the rug for those fears of not knowing what to do or what people are going to think of them. But I think that honestly this is just my opinion, I think that's what has caused a lot of angst and anxiety in this world, is because we aren't living in our own truth. Like I feel like just humans in general, we could all be so much happier and worry less about Sally Sue down the street if we all just did what that nudge was. Like I could get real deep and philosophical right now, but this is just how I feel, that if we were all truly living out our passion and doing those nudges that we feel inside, even though we are scared, I think all of us would be happier. And I think we would worry far less about everyone else because we would be doing what we love to do. Even if it seems really weird. Like 5 years ago, I would have never imagined even being on a call and not being a teacher. Like if I was going to be on a call, it'd because I was going to teach somebody about teaching. I couldn't even imagine it, but you have to take that first step, no matter how scary it is, even if it's just posting on social media and saying, hey, I'm going to start an Etsy shop because I love to knit mittens and I'm going to make mittens, and who wants to follow? And like, just take a leap or take a class to learn something. Just do that first thing and then do the next scary thing, and then do the next scary thing. And it doesn't get less scary. I'm still scared, but I just get used to it, I guess.
I have another question for you, kind of along those lines, but I'm wondering how, in your story with the various plot twists and the various projects that you have taken on, how has moving forward in the face of those fears and things that feel uncomfortable, how has that informed you or helped to bolster you when you moved into an area that is not typically heavily populated by females, and that is being a general contractor of your own project? That's something that is more heavily dominated by men, and just wondering a little bit about your experience as a woman moving into an area that maybe you felt like you didn't have all of the knowledge, but you'd never done this before, but you didn't have all of the knowledge moving into it. And not only that, but it's an area that isn't normally an arena that women work in. I would love to hear a little bit about that and your perspective there.
I really think, so first of all, throughout this whole process, other than my sister being there to help me, I have seen one other female in my building project who happens to work for Chandler Roofing. Everyone else has been male. And I feel like you can just sense when you first meet somebody if they look at you like, oh, you're a woman, or, oh, no big deal, you're a woman, you can do this. And it was scary, and it still is, even when I first meet someone with this project. I'm like, okay, how are they gonna view me? But I always try to approach it with an open mind, like not assuming they're going to think down on me because I'm a girl. But it's really about, like I said, gathering the people around you that are going to support you. And I am super upfront with people when they do come. Like, somebody was there with Excel Energy and they were asking me questions, and I'm like, I don't know what BTUs are, so you're gonna have to tell me where I can find this information so that I can give you the right information. This is my first rodeo here in this building project, so help me out. Like, I'm very upfront with being okay with not knowing everything and letting them know that. I told all of my contractors when I hired them, said, you're gonna get a lot of possibly dumb questions, low-level questions from me. But number one, I'm really curious about how it all works. Like with my electrician, when he was putting all these things together, I was just asking just like, how does it work questions when he was putting all of the wires in and everything. So I think just being okay with not knowing and being upfront with it, and then seeing which people are okay with you not knowing it, and kind of not allowing those haters to be in your circle.
We have a couple questions in the chat related to your teaching history, where you taught, where else you've lived, and where you went to college.
I taught all 12 years in Lake City, just down the road. I actually had my student teaching job there as well. So kind of taught there for 12 and a half years, just only got paid for 12. I used to live in Maple Grove. That's where I first grew up until I was 13. And then I moved to Red Wing in 1995 and finished out 8th through 12th grade in Red Wing, graduated from Red Wing High School. And then I went to Winona State for my undergrad. And then I came back here. I looked for a house in Red Wing, couldn't find one in a teacher's salary price range. So I ended up getting a foreclosure in Goodhue and met my husband here. And now I've stayed in Goodhue. We live in Goodhue.
So obviously, you could have a business in a lot of other communities, and there's a lot of, small charming towns around Red Wing that have probably some great potential for the different kinds of businesses you're interested in. What do you like about owning your businesses here? Why Red Wing? Why are you committed to this community?
Um, it's so hard to put words around it. I've always loved Red Wing. I was also a Miss Red Wing ambassador. So I spent a year promoting Red Wing at different parades and events. That was 20 years ago. And I love all the small towns around us. I love Goodhue as well, but there's just something so quaint and calming about just strolling through downtown Red Wing. And I really feel like the community there is just where my store belongs.
Very good. That's a fair answer. So if you had to look into your magic crystal ball, where would you like to say you would be, your businesses would be in 5 years? Like, what would that look like to you? Are you going to own a lot of buildings? Are you going to have different kinds of stores? Are you going to, what are your bigger dreams that are further out on the horizon as a business owner?
So I'm a big goal person, and I love thinking about like 5-year goals, 10-year goals, all of that. But after these last 5 years and how many changes have happened, I almost am like, I couldn't even imagine what's going to happen in the next 5. If I looked back 5 years ago, there's no way I could have imagined being here right now. But just in general, I will probably own a 4th business. I don't know what it's in, but within the businesses that I have, I can plan on continue growing all 3 of them. My coaching business continues to grow. The team of girls that I have with me doing that is amazing. My best friends are in that group. I really hope that Filio continues to grow deep, deep roots in the Red Wing area so that it isn't, those of us that own downtown businesses, and Shannon, I know you know this, being a previous owner of a business downtown, it can be very roller coastery with tourism and when people show up. And so I'm hoping to have more of an established local following so that it isn't so up and down depending on what color the leaves are. Yes. Which we've grown into. Like, I'm very, very happy with the more consistency that we've seen since we first started. But I'd love to grow that, just the localness of it. And then we may do another building, but I don't think we'll do one that's as in-depth as this one, like a full tear down and rebuild. Maybe buy something that has a little bit more done.
Maybe not rip up the street. Like maybe not rip up the street.
Yeah, maybe not rip up the street. Let's be done with that. Like, check, I've done that. I can say I've done that, but I don't know that I need to do that again.
So obviously, an entrepreneur that's doing one self-employed job or one entrepreneurial pursuit and balancing family, that's a crazy life. And so you're managing really 3 entrepreneurial pursuits plus a family. So any tips for those out there listening and who will listen in the future to this? How you stay organized, how you don't lose your mind, how, your project management, are there tools or software that you utilize, or any kinds of things you would like to share that would help all of us stay better organized?
So I will say that you can't do it alone. You need really good people. So for instance, with my coaching business, I do 99% of that completely on my own, but it's just in pockets of time. Like, it's an online business. I get to plug in when I want to. I have, a chunk of time every single night that I devote to that. So it's really about compartmentalizing that piece of it. I'm not constantly working on that business, but it's consistently every single day for short chunks of time. For Filio, it's my staff. 100%. The ladies that I have hired there are the only reason that I can own that business and not be married to it. If I didn't have good employees, I would be there every day, but I can trust them. They can completely put out the clothing, tag, steam. They help me pick items for the store. Like, I have learned to delegate a lot, which, me as being a firstborn type A, Enneagram 3, I kind of just like to do it all. In group work, I was the girl who's like, I'll just do it and I'll put your name on the top and just say you did it, but I just want to do it.
People love to be in a group with you, though. They're like, yeah, sure, you go right ahead.
Yeah, for sure. So, and then with the building project, again, it's just having the team of people. Like, I needed to hire out the electrical, the plumbing, the HVAC, and yeah, I'm kind of coordinating all of it. But I will say this, I know it's a short, busy season. I know that once they're done and they're rented with 4 incredible human beings, which I know I will attract the right people, it's going to kind of run itself. So I know that this is just a crazy, chaotic, short couple of months. My daughter is amazing. She's a great kid. She's an only child. She's 10. So she has had to learn to kind of entertain, but my husband has been working from home since COVID. So he's upstairs in his office right now. And it's kind of just been the two of them here at home manning everything while I'm at the building project during the day. But I will have so much more time to breathe and kind of spread myself out, not quite so thin, once the building project is done. It's a short season. We just got to get through it.
It kind of helps to know that there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. And even though it's get real painful in the middle, there is an end, and then you'll just be the landlord, and hopefully that won't be quite as crazy. How do you expect to take applications? There will probably be a tremendous level of interest. As we all know, there's a significant shortage of housing in general, housing downtown, rental in general. And so how do you anticipate that process working for you?
So I'm hoping that we have a long list to go through. That would be an amazing problem to have. I just want to say in this moment that anyone who's thinking about doing a downtown rental unit project, please do it, because what Shannon just said is totally true. People want downtown housing, and you will not have a problem renting those spaces out. So right now we just have a Google form that you can fill out to give us your information, which is found on my Instagram, CMA Properties. There's a link right there that you can click on, and you can just give us your name and your email and phone number, how we can get in contact with you when we are at the point of taking applications for our 4 spaces.
And are you expecting to have leases?
Yes, year-long lease for each one. The front 2 will be a different price. We haven't come up with that for sure, but the back 2 will be set by whatever Randall and we figure out for the 60%.
How, someone's asking, I'm curious about what you're doing about parking, but one of the questions is also about, are 2 exits required in a building like yours for fire?
Okay, so that is another thing that I have learned so much about, which is building codes and inspections and working with the city and figuring all that out and working with fire marshal. So with historic buildings, there are kind of forgivenesses in situations like that. So we don't have 2 exits. If we expanded, or if the other owners next to me expanded, we would have to figure out another exit. And in our particular situation, there is a connection with Tom and Brian's building that they're selling. On that level, it's currently cinder blocked off. So we could take that down and then have another exit there. Also, if we expand, we would have to have a sprinkler system put in. But right now, where it stands with the square footage that we have, we're just under the amount that requires those things. So we have the 1 exit, which is our new staircase out to the new back door on the back of our building. And we we had to put in a door at the bottom of those stairs that is tied to the smoke alarms that will shut if the smoke alarms go off, just to create a little bit more time for people to get out safely. There's a lot of things that you have to check into and look at. That's a whole nother topic of things that I've learned. But just make sure you check in and sit down with the city and even talk to the inspections office about some of those things, just to know, we had to know that we would be able to rent these out legally. So I had those conversations like, okay, I had Frank walk through my building and say, is this rentable? Is it, are we even going to be able to do this, or is it impossible? Like, should we not even buy this building? So make sure that
related to that, someone's asking about an elevator. Did you have to put an elevator in your building?
We do not with the current square footage that we have, but if it did expand, that's another thing that would have to be added. And the city has actually thought about putting one in kind of the alley behind Staghead and Josephson's and Oliver's, in that back area, and so that it could service multiple buildings and kind of kill more birds with one stone. So that's a possibility. We would love that, because my husband is in a wheelchair, and the only way that he can currently even see our upstairs is if we carry him up in a manual chair. So that would be an amazing ad, but that was not even close to being in our budget. So we're not able to do that right now.
We did have someone who wanted to know just a little bit more about the coaching business you keep referring to.
I will, but I also saw, or you had mentioned the parking. We do have parking spots.
Yep.
Not many downtown buildings we have heard have parking. You have to park in the ramps. We do have 4 parking spots behind our building that we will have for the 4 tenants. So
nice.
That's one good thing.
So your coaching.
My coaching business is I essentially host online accountability groups for people that are wanting to work out from home, follow really easy to follow meal plans, and just be encouraged and surrounded with other women that are wanting to kind of step out of their comfort zone and take control of that aspect of their life with health and fitness. No quick fixes, no nothing, just good old fashioned working out and eating healthy.
And I would guess that you're coaching people from all over, like all over the country, probably?
Yep. United States, Canada, United Kingdom, and France are the people that we are able to work with right now.
Awesome. I know we're getting close to being out of time, so I want to make sure you get to share anything you want to share about your social handles, if there's an email address or a place that people could message you after they hear this and would want to contact you, but go ahead and spew all of the things you want to make sure people know about with your businesses.
All right, so most people have Instagram, and that's the easiest way to find me. If you go to Andrea.Hanson.82, you'll find my page all about coaching and just kind of general life. That's kind of where I mainly live. But I also have an Instagram and a Facebook for Filio Style, which you can find under Filio Style. And then my building project I've been documenting is under CMA Properties. And CMA is just the initials of the people in my family, Chad, Mari, and Andrea. And you can find that on Instagram and also on Facebook. You can find me on Facebook as well, under Andrea Hanson. So you can follow me there.
Thank you. Before we wrap it up, I wanted, obviously you maybe consider other people that you've met in your life, in your professional path, as mentors, but you clearly have a tremendous amount of mentorship to provide others. So do you consider yourself a mentor? Do you offer that in some official or unofficial way? Have you thought about teaching or hosting, even like an evening session at Community Ed? And I can see it like geared towards women, talking about the pivoting. So do you think about giving back in that way with all that you've learned?
I have a dream of one day writing a book. I don't know what it would all encompass, but that's another nudge that I have felt for probably 10 years, is to write a book on something. Maybe it's this, I don't know. So maybe that's part of my 5-year, I don't know, plan, is writing a book and being an author. I would love to speak on stages about something similar to this. So I'm totally open to doing stuff like that. But right now I just offer my own thoughts on life and things like that with Instagram and my social media, and just try to encourage people to live bravely, because the best things happen right outside of your comfort zone.
That's great suggestion. So we wanted to make sure people know we have some upcoming Red Talks. And I'll let Stacy wrap up, and if there's any final words from Andrea. We're gonna have John Wooden speak next month. And then the following month, we're going to have Susan Langer with Live, Give, Save, who is an entrepreneur that's had a lot of affiliation with Red Wing Ignite and was our previous entrepreneur lead. And then in November, we're going to hear from Nobelsdorf. They have a wide range of services they provide, and they've been an important partner in our Learn and Earn program. And then December's still up in the air, and then we'll start working on our 2021 calendar. So Stacy, is there anything you want to add before we let Andrea have the last word?
I just want to say thank you, Andrea, for sharing your story. Thank you for telling us what you currently have going on. It's so exciting to hear, and really inspiring too. I loved what you shared about moving forward in the face of obstacles and choosing to face the unknown and to face fears and taking steps to continue to face those. And so thank you for your encouragement to everyone here. And I would love to have any of you who are on the call today join us for any of our future Red Talks. It's been wonderful to hear the stories of those that are tied to Red Wing. And so thank you, and thank you again, Andrea.
Yes, Andrea, thank you. And again, this is going to be saved and shared on the Red Wing Ignite YouTube channel, and you'll find links to that on our social profiles as well. We're really indebted to the time that Andrea took to tell her story, to be honest, to offer so much encouragement, so much hope, and so much excitement around the projects that she has going on in Red Wing. So thank you for being part of our community and for being part of our Red Talk series, and we look forward to seeing you downtown.
Thank you so much.
Take care, everyone. Have a good afternoon.